Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I'm bringing you a TBR video, which I haven't done in a really long time. I've been kind of mood reading and just picking books for readathons rather than setting myself a set TBR. And I'm not doing TBR Uno this month either because I have read a lot of books in May, and I feel like if I keep adding books to my TBR in June, I probably will burn myself out. So I'm being kind to myself in June and only picking 4 books that I want to read. And if I read more than that, then that's absolutely fine. If I don't finish this stack, that's fine as well. They will roll over into July. So the first book that I really want to read is The October Society by Christopher Robinson. So this I picked up like a while ago. I think I picked it up in my January book haul, and I picked it up because I picked up The Cotton Candy Massacre by the same author, and of course I just loved the cover of this, and I wanted to spend as much money as possible on some new books, so I am wanting to finally get around to this. I really did love The Cotton Candy Massacre, so I am very hopeful that I will enjoy this as well. So the synopsis says, Halloween approaches and the October Society gathers. They come to share their stories, tales of dark magic and crooked lies, of tragic past and wicked cruelty, of misguided adventure and sinister pranks. Collected here are the first 6 episodes of the spookiest show that ever was, a series only found in the static between channels that can only be watched on broken TVs in dusty attics and damp basements. Tune in if you dare, because the author of My Zombie Sweetheart welcomes you to the October Society Season 1. If I'm correct, I think this is going to be set out as like a TV show. The Cotton Candy Massacre was set out like a script, but the story was very much a novel, so it was very interesting, and I feel like from that synopsis that this might be the same premise. It sounds so cool, and I really love retro elements in books, and when it talks about the static between channels and like broken TVs, it does give me the 90s feel. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I am hoping that it's one that I pick up in June. So I bought season 1 and season 2, so book 1 and book 2, without even realizing if I enjoyed it or not. So I'm very hopeful, and yeah, really looking forward to this one. So the next book that is on my mood read for June is The Bird Eater by Anya Alborn. I have read quite a number of Anya Alborn's books recently. Just recently I read Seed, which was so good. It was so eerie and creepy because it was like a child possession, so I really enjoyed it. I actually bought this, I think this one was part of my January haul. Yeah, so I picked this up before I read Seed, but I don't really remember the book I read from her. Oh, The Shuddering. Yes, I read The Shuddering for my polar horror like series that I was doing at the time. Obviously I didn't record it, but I did read it, and that made me want to pick up The Bird Eater. So this is a psychological horror book, and it kind of reminds me of Seed in the sense of like it's that eerie aspect and that gothic atmosphere. So I want to get around to reading this one and tick it off and see if Anya Alborn is like one of my favorite authors. So you might be seeing this book again in another video coming up, because I'm doing a author taste test, trying to see if authors remain or become a new favorite. And I have read a number of Anya Alborn's books at this point, so after this I think I might start doing that for Anya Alborn. So yeah, you might be seeing this video soon. But the synopsis for this says, Aaron Holbrook was just a kid when his aunt the only mother he ever knew, died mysteriously in their rural Arkansas home. Thrust into foster care, he left Arkansas with the promise to never return. But 20 years later, the death of his young son drives Aaron home again in a last-ditch effort to get sober and salvage a marriage that's falling apart. But something far more powerful than memory and grief lurks in the dusty corners of Holbrook House. Something dark, something sinister. So I'm not going to read any more of it because I feel like the synopsis might give a lot away in this book. So from that, I feel like it's going to be very atmospheric and it might focus a lot on grief as a main theme point. But again, it is a supernatural based book that has some eerie elements, and I feel like it's going to be a super psychological one. So with my recent love of psychological horror, I feel like this one is going to definitely hit the spot, and I might actually love this. I mean, the cover is very creepy and I really like it. So yeah, this is the next book that I hope to mood read. So the next book I want to tell you about is The Institute by Stephen King. So this one, again, I think this might be in a book haul that I did recently, and I picked this one up because I'm doing a reading project which includes this book and a number of other ones, but I am yet to read The Institute for this project, and I kind of need to get on that. So this is kind of like a priority that I need to read in June. Yeah, I mean, I picked up the new Stephen King Rainbow editions, not in the hope of collecting them, just because I can, and I have a number of these already. So if I am buying some new Stephen King books, I am going to buy them in this edition, unless I buy them secondhand. But anyway, the synopsis for this says there's only one way out. Luke Ellis, a super smart 12-year-old with an exceptional gift, is the latest in a long line of kids abducted and taken to a secret government facility, hidden deep in the forest in Maine. Here, kids with special talents, telekinesis and telepathy, like Luke's new friends, Kalisha, Nick and Iris, are subject to a series of experiments. There seems to be no hope of escape until Luke teams up with an even younger boy whose powers of telepathy are off the scale. Meanwhile, far away in a small town in South Carolina, former cop Tim Jamison looks for the quiet life, has taken a job working for the local sheriff. He doesn't know he's about to take on the biggest case of his career. So this one sounds a lot like Firestarter and Carrie mixed together. So this is going to be a very interesting read, considering I really loved Firestarter but didn't love Carrie as much. So I think this is like a recent publication for him. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a lot better. Yeah, so this was published in 2019. So this is a recent work. So I'm hoping that this one is going to be interesting and good. I haven't had much luck with Stephen King in the last couple of months, and I'm not sure if that's because of the type of books that I'm reading now are a lot different, and I'm just not vibing with his writing style anymore. But Stephen King used to be my favorite author, and that's kind of changed a little bit, and I would really love to do a Stephen King dedicated video actually, because I've now read like around 30 of his books, and I think he has a total of like 84, maybe 85 by the time Holly comes out this year. So I have read a good portion of his work. Kind of give you a rough guide, because I feel like Stephen King is a hit or miss type of author, and I think depending on the type of horror that you read can determine which Stephen King book you're gonna like. So I might do that. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in that type of video. But getting back to what I was saying, I hope that I can get along with this. Stephen King for me often writes too much backstory and too much detail in things, So a lot of his books could be shorter than what they actually are. I take, for example, 11/22/63 and The Stand. Those are two of the biggest books that I read from Stephen King, not counting It, because I read that a really long time ago. But recently, those are the two biggest books that I read, and I felt like they were 300 to 400 pages too long, and it could have just been a 500-page book, but instead they were over 900, and for The Stand it was over 1100. So I feel like he just writes too much. So hopefully this one is going to be good and I actually like this book, because if I don't, I feel like I might have to give up on reading his books if I just don't enjoy them. There's no point in suffering through, but I will let you know if that is the case. And of course, if you tell me that you want a dedicated Stephen King video, I can definitely do that. And finally, the last book on this list is How High We Go in the Dark. This is a winter-based book, and if you know me and you've watched or you followed a lot of my reviews in the past, you know that I'm obsessed with winter-based polar horror books. It's definitely a subgenre that I highly enjoy, and I've read a lot of, especially in the last year. And this is really short, so I'm hoping that this is going to be enjoyable for me. So the synopsis for this says, Siberia 2031. After a virus on Earth from melting permafrost unleashes a deadly plague among humanity, those left alive are forced to adapt to a new world, and do so in a myriad of moving and inventive ways. Among those adjusting to this new normal are an aspiring comedian employed by a theme park designed for terminally ill children, who falls in love with a mother trying desperately to keep her son alive. A scientist who, having failed to save his own son from the plague, gets a second chance at fatherhood when one of his test subjects, a pig, develops human speech, and a widowed painter and her teenage granddaughter, who must be set off on a cosmic quest to locate a new home planet. So this sounds very sci-fi-esque and wintry and futuristic, but then also kind of present day, where we're following a virus that gets unleashed on society, which is quite relevant in what we've just went through, about that started like 3 years ago. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to picking this one up and giving it a go. It sounds so ominous and intriguing, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So these are the 4 books that I hope to get to in June, and that is everything that I have to tell you in this video. So thank you so much for watching and sticking to the end. I will see you again soon. Bye!